Now I'm going live. We should be going live now. So, welcome everyone. This is the Restart Podcast. I'm joined by Brandon Fold about Nintendo. I am on Just Restart. And this time may be a little bit shorter. We had a break last week as well. I know it's been a little bit of a slow period, but we're going to get through it. We still have some good stuff to talk about though. So, we're going to be talking about a potential Nintendo Direct as per usual. But this time it might actually happen. And I know I've said that multiple times already, but this time it might actually be it.
This is the one.
Just you see, just you wait. The Nintendo Direct may be happening really soon. We're talking about rumors about it and what we could be seeing. And I like what I'm hearing, so we're going to be getting into that. We're also going to be talking about the impact of the coronavirus, which I do suspect has had a lot to do with some of the slowness in terms of gaming news as of late. It's been more of kind of like delays and things of that nature. So we're going to be talking about that, how that sort of relates to Nintendo a little bit. And that's pretty much the planned topics for this particular discussion. Of course, you guys in the chat who are active in the chat who ask questions, we will get to that as well, and that can entirely shape this conversation. But before we jump into the thick of things, Brandon, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm tired. I know we all are probably a little bit tired because of the daylight savings. You know, we all lost an hour.
Yeah.
But I've just been so hammered with school and work, man. I haven't gotten sleep. Been trying to, keep up my video game playing. Started Metro 2033, I think it was. Yeah, Metro 2033, the first of the Metro games.
Mm-hmm.
I got on Game Pass on my PC. It's been fun. Metro Exodus came out a while back, and I've been, looking at that series and I might as well jump in. It's free. Well, I pay every month, but it feels free. And it's been good. I haven't got to play it a lot, but it's been really fun.
Describe this game for those who don't know anything about it.
Okay, it's a first-person shooter set in a post-apocalyptic world where there's the surface is very heavily radiated, so people live in tunnels, and there's just mutants everywhere. So you're kind of trying to. Also, there's these creatures that you don't really know, that these new mutants that have they're kind of like these shadowy creatures that just absolutely terrify you and freak you out and make you go insane.
Right.
If they get near you. So you're trying to kind of deal with them, and you don't really know how to deal with them. And it's kind of like a horror first-person shooter survival game because you have very limited ammo and stuff. It's really fun. It's got horror elements, survival elements, and it's a first-person shooter as well.
And what platforms can you play this game on?
I believe right now you can play them on every modern platform. It's on the Switch. It's on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Yeah.
Look at that.
That's the Redux version of 2033 and Last Light are on the Switch. Metro Exodus is not as of yet.
I was actually not aware
I might get
of
a
that.
port.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it runs really well. I saw Digital Foundry made a video. It runs really, really well. Both of them run really well on the Switch. It's actually really good versions.
I might have to check it out. Because I haven't tried it before. But I think it's interesting that there's some horror elements there. There's actually a game I've been playing that has some horror elements as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the main character likes to wear green. He likes to whimper in fear, cower all the time, but still kick some ghost butt. I've been playing Luigi's Mansion 3, and it's been freaking fantastic. I love the game.
So good.
I borrowed it from a friend. We did a switch a borrowed trade thing. So I let him borrow Mario Odyssey, and I'm borrowing Luigi's Mansion 3. I may end up just buying the game outright, not from him, just on my own, because I want to keep my Mario Odyssey game, because I'm loving the game, right? And of course, I'm gonna try and 100% this thing. So I'm thinking about halfway up already, in the 8th or 9th level. I've recovered some of the toads, and I'm just going back and collecting all the different gems, trying to get every single gem, every single boo, and I am loving it because it's it's like a puzzle game, but there's some action there. And I gotta say something, I have a bone to pick with GameXplain. So if anyone from GameXplain ever sees this, I just want you to know I love you guys. But I remember the Luigi's Mansion review that went up for, I think Audrey Seeger's reviewed it, I could be wrong. And there's something he said about the game that sort of stuck with me. and he was saying that the combat felt simplified compared to previous Luigi's Mansion games. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I kind of think it's for what it is. It feels fine. Like it does. Yeah, you do the slamming thing, but I feel like the slamming thing is just a different thing. It doesn't feel like, I don't feel like it's overpowered. Just kind of like the end of your suck or your inhalation, whatever you want to, however you want to word that awkward setup there.
Yeah.
But and I still feel like oftentimes there is like a game to play in terms of struggling, in terms of positioning against the ghosts to get them to actually suck them into a position where you can when you can then start slamming them.
Especially if you want to get them all, try to get them like one cycle or two cycles.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. If you don't want to have to catch them 3 times. Exactly.
You gotta wait to slam them, otherwise they're gonna, once you do the slam, then a lot of times they automatically get released to go catch them again. But if you suck on them a little bit, get their health down, then you can get them in less cycles or even one cycle.
Yeah, using the word "suck" just sucks.
No, I know.
It's terrible. Yeah, no, I've been playing with a friend, and the conversation is just very not okay. Yeah, it's terrible. But the game is wonderful. I'm really loving it. All the environments have so much going on. There's so much you can interact with.
Yeah.
And the cutscenes.
The secrets are so well hidden.
Some of them are frustrating. But I'll tell you this. So when we were playing the game, we were playing it on an incorrect brightness setting, right? So the way we had the television set up, the brightness wasn't very high. So when I went into the options for the game to set the brightness, it was like, move the scale so you can see the boo on the right, and all I saw was black. So then I moved it up to max brightness on the scale slider. I moved it all the way to the max brightness setting on the slider, and I still could not see the boo. It was still pitch black. So the brightness setting on the television was not matching with the game at all. But once we moved up the brightness setting, everything looked dramatically different. It was a lot easier to see what was going on, and we started figuring out a lot of the puzzles a bit quicker. So
yeah.
But the game, I'm loving the game, especially now with the middle levels I've gone through. I think they're a bit more involved. They kind of changed the pace up a little bit. I just got through the museum. That was amazing. The museum was so cool. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but I'll say that the museum actually had me a little scared. Like, of all the scenes in the game, that was one of the few moments I was like, nope, I am not going in there. I saw what happened in there, and I am not going in there. I went in there because I had to. But I'm loving the game. It's great. Absolutely. Yeah, but let's check in with the chat here before we sort of, do other things. Grief and Golem. I keep telling people Coronavirus likely has delayed a direct, and now the Sony State of Play, as that is apparently now showing up. See, we're going to get into this really soon, but yes, I, at this point now believe, could be wrong, I don't have any hard evidence for it, but given the situation, I do think that the Nintendo Direct that we've been waiting for and talking about for such a long time has been internally delayed. There's been no announcement of it, but I think the reason we haven't gotten it was because of the coronavirus. I think that has led to a lot of delays, and it's been moved up because of that. But I do think we're finally going to get it soon. As for Sony State of Play, I try not to. I like talking all the time, but I try not to speak on things I know little about, or at least I have that disclaimer first so people understand what I'm saying is not with a lot of knowledge, right? Which is what a problem that I have with a lot of content creators, that they speak on issues with little knowledge and act as if they have a lot of knowledge.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to drop any.
They do a lot of assumptions.
A lot of assumptions, and because they're popular, a lot of people who are younger, who aren't well learned, will just buy into what they're saying, and what they're saying is not reliable. Not that they can't make videos and talk about things, but I just think, that honesty is important, and I just think sometimes it's not there. So, point is, I don't know what to say in regards to Sony State of Play, because I have no idea what's going on with that, but at least with the Nintendo Direct, I do feel like something is up, because we have gone through the longest period since Nintendo Directs have been happening, since before. That's the longest period of not getting a general Nintendo Direct. We've gone game-specific Direct, so it's not like Nintendo has gone off the map entirely. We've gone some, like the Animal Crossing one, the Pokemon ones. We got the Smash presentation, so it's not like we haven't gotten anything. But in terms of a general Nintendo Direct to give us new information about games coming out this year, we've gotten nothing. It's been over half a year, And the interesting thing, the second closest drought to that, right, was for 2018. In 2018, we got a March Nintendo Direct. There was no big, giant February or January Nintendo Direct, except there actually was. There was a Nintendo Direct Mini in 2018, which had some pretty good games. I also talked about Mario Tennis, Dark Souls Remastered. Both of those are pretty popular games on the Switch. So there was that, and that was the second longest drought of all time. We have had nothing like that for this drought. So this, in my opinion, is unprecedented when it comes to Nintendo Direct. So I have to think something is up. This is very different. So I think that the coronavirus is a likely reason as to why there may not have been a Nintendo Direct. It could be another reason, right? But the coronavirus is leading to a whole bunch of delays. And I guess we'll make that our first topic. They're kind of tied together, actually, because we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct and the coronavirus. But let me get through the chat here, unless, Brandon, something else you want to add to what Grief and Golem was saying.
No, I think we're gonna talk more about that in just a bit. So yeah.
Cool. Solo Jones, but aren't Sega planning a Direct in April, or at least hinting at one? I heard something about Sega doing something in April. Yeah, I've also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some murmurs. I don't know if it's news yet of a something related to a new Sonic game or some sort of Sonic remaster of older games. If we get another new 3D Sonic game, oh, I would love that. I mean, Sonic period I would love, right? But I love Sonic Mania.
One that's actually good.
A good one. Yeah, it'd be nice to get a good one. I'm not asking for the Mario Odyssey of Sonic games. I'm just asking for a good one, right? Like Sonic Colors back on the Wii. I enjoyed that very much. That was great. If we can get something like that level of quality, but for this modern era, that would be perfect. In fact, if that happened, it came on the Switch, I bet it would sell incredibly well and be one of the best-selling Sonic games yet. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Terry Sivertson added me. I think we'll get a General Nintendo Direct either this week or in the next week or two, but I do believe we'll get a General Nintendo Direct this month. So I do think now, I mean, there is a trend to see the Nintendo Direct in either like the first or second week of the month. In the third or fourth weeks, it doesn't happen unless it's like a game-specific Direct, right? Which is why I didn't really believe we would get like a Direct at the end of February. I was hoping for it, right? But it didn't happen. The interesting thing about that, though, is that we had to have a rumor saying there would be 2 Nintendo Directs, and there weren't. And that rumor also was coming from a source that was also suggesting that we shouldn't bet on Breath of the Wild 2. Hey, maybe with some reliability, it does open up the door a little bit, right? But at the same time, I also have to say that the coronavirus leads to game delays. So, hard to say. And we're going to get into that. I just want to get through a chat here because you guys are saying some interesting things. Super Chris is saying a Direct will happen when it happens. That is true. But when will it happen? That is the question. We all want to know. Yes. We are dying to know. Terry Saracen was adding me. In this relation to Luigi's Mansion, I find it weird that Luigi's afraid of ghosts, but he has a ghost dog as a pet. And the ghost dog is the most adorable creature in death.
I mean, he's seen him for 3 games now. I feel like he's gotten a little used to that ghost. That one. That's the only one.
He trusts that one.
He doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to capture that one.
And also,
the other one, dude.
I think there's a few and now I haven't beaten the game yet, but there is at least one other ghost that Luigi interacted with, from what I've played, that wasn't necessarily evil. And you're kind of left to choose how you deal with him. I don't know if at some point I'll be forced to kill him later, but he was in a situation where I was like, oh, he's doing something cool, and he was nice to me beforehand. I don't want to take his soul away, so I just left him doing what he's doing. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, Brandon.
I do.
Yeah. Did you kill him?
No.
But you did see where he was after the fight.
Yes.
Yeah. So I felt bad about killing him, so I just left him alone. Point is, I guess in the Luigi's Mansion canon, right, there are some ghosts that aren't bad. So
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you do have to kill him to 100% the game, but I'm not sure.
Oof, that is cruel. Oh man. Well, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Ben, I remember them saying that also and disagree with them. Is this in relation to the reset era thing?
I think that's the game explain. Because he commented
Oh,
that
the
around when we were
timing.
talking about game
Right,
explain.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of Luigi's Mansion not having dumbed down combat. Yeah, I'm not sure I feel it's dumbed down. I think it's fine the way it is.
I like it.
Supersonic Leah Force, could we get a direct this week? It's possible, but I've said it's possible like every week, so until it happens, we won't really know. But there is some pieces of evidence that could give us some hope, and we're going to get to that. The Punk Agent, Luigi's Mansion 3 is freaking amazing. Yep, I think you're right. Hello there, computer robots. How you doing? Terry Sivers Anatomy. I think the reason why there wasn't a Nintendo Direct in January or February was because there wasn't really any first, second, or third-party games that released that we didn't know about. I mean, I guess there wasn't like a big need at that point in time, but sooner or later they will have to have something because we have some information suggesting Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition comes out in May. And there is no news. There has been no news about it, right? Like, we have gotten multiple ratings for it, like ESRB ratings, right? So that suggests it's right around the corner. Not to mention there were some online listings from different foreign countries that also had the game listed for May. So that's several things that could be suggesting Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is right around the corner. Which makes sense given that it's a remake now. It's a very nice looking remake. Like, they definitely put some work here. It's a new engine. But remakes in general don't take that long, right? So given that they revealed it back in September, to see it come out in May, I don't think is at all a lofty expectation. So, and if that's the case, then you got to think that we'll get some news about it really soon. Perhaps in Nintendo Direct sometime this month.
Yeah, you gotta have... these kind of updates a few months in advance so people can get, start saving up and things. Like some of us, we can just drop, money on a game whenever we want. But some people, you got a budget and stuff. So you got to give people time to think about their wallet in these situations. So you can't just be dropping these games too close to announcement. So
yeah. Just a thing for the chat. I'm not Super Chris. Thank you for helping to mod the chat, but I actually am okay with people pinging me. So, but only try to ping me if it's a question that you think, kind of makes sense for the discussion. Then I will more easily get to that. So I don't really have a problem with pinging, just as long as it's a question that's worthy of don't say don't at me and say, hey, I like your pimple. I mean, if you did, I wouldn't really be that annoyed by it. I'm just saying that I'm okay with the pings, but ping me when you have a question or something interesting that you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be necessarily on topic either. I'm completely okay with talking about Luigi's Mansion now, Coronavirus in a minute, Zelda in the next minute, and then Metroid Prime 17 in the next 4 minutes. It doesn't matter. As long as it's about Nintendo, we're going to talk about it. So moving on, Smashifier. I'm skeptical that we'll get one soon. Employees are either sick or working at home. Remember that if nothing is announced Tuesday, we're going to have to keep waiting. I think that if there is not an announcement on Tuesday, you're probably right. There will not be a Direct this week. Has there been cases where a Direct has been announced after Tuesday? Yes, but it's very uncommon. Supersonic Leah Force. The Sonic Hedgehog movie video game I wish happened. Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, the video game, I wish that happened.
So you want a video game based off the Sonic movie?
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. No, neither of us. So I guess we can't speak on it. But
I hear it's good.
Yeah,
at least decent.
Kamimingo, hello there. I'm pretty good actually. Thanks for asking. What are we talking about? We're talking about Nintendo Direct rumors and hopes and dreams and wishes, and also the impact of the coronavirus and how it's going to be impacting our gaming lives. And anything else Nintendo related. Or not. The Lakers beat the Clippers today, and I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a basketball fan, so. Solo Jones. I think 2020 will have a similar lineup to 2019. Animal Crossing Xenoblade and a mystery title right before E3. and then an explosion of titles in the second half of the year to compete with next gen. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, we could get some. Sometimes that does happen where the first half of the year is kind of like really slow, and then all of a sudden it's just like bang,
Yeah.
bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that's pretty much how it is right now. It looks like Nintendo might only have like 4 or 5 games come out before E3, and then after that, you know, it'll be a little bit bigger. Now, granted, we've only got Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Animal Crossing is coming out now. If you count Mystery Dungeon for Pokemon, that's another one that Nintendo has a hand in publishing, if I'm not mistaken. So that, I guess that counts. And then maybe one other game, or maybe 1 or 2 more games. That could happen. Now, when I say 1 or 2 more games, I don't mean like each game's gonna be like a big AAA title. Like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is not a big title, right? It's a smaller thing. So some smaller things could sort of help to fill the gaps up a little bit. But yeah, maybe we'll get like another Mario Sports game. Maybe that potential Nintendo Land 2 comes out. I don't know. Something like that right before E3 I think is possible, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get a direct telling us.
Why does the idea of Nintendo Land 2 just get me hyped every time I think about it? I'm just like, oh, Nintendo Land's so good. I don't know. It's such like a B tier game, or even like a C tier game, but it's just like every time I hear about it, I'm like, oh, Nintendo Land.
Nintendo Land was great. I think it was really fun. I think Nintendo Land could have benefited by having online and DLC, right? Those things would have been really
dude.
cool.
I thought the entire Wii U's life, I was like, they're gonna put out some Nintendo Land DLC, and they never did.
Well, at that point, Nintendo wasn't ready to really jump on the DLC bandwagon yet. Now they are. Like, a lot of their games have DLC. It would have been nice to have them doing that back on the Wii U, but they were really playing catch up throughout the entire Wii U era. Now Nintendo's caught up in a lot of ways. Still some ways that are obviously lacking, like with online and online chat and all that other nonsense.
Yeah.
And I don't know when they'll catch up on that. Maybe next generation.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe.
We've only been waiting since the original Xbox gen for them to actually like get it together.
Yeah. Emery, Nintendo Direct has to be this month, otherwise we ain't getting anything till E3. That might not be wrong. But I'm gonna say that there has to be something before E3.
There's gotta be. Even if it's not direct, like they gotta be dropping some trailers or something. Like,
yeah. There's no way to get by, but they need something.
Yeah.
Even and like you said, Brandon, maybe it doesn't end up being a direct, but there needs to be trailer drops and release dates. That has to happen. Terry Sivertson, I believe the Nintendo Direct will give us an update on Metroid Prime 4, our release date for Bayonetta 3, Mario Kart 9 announced for holiday 2020. That would be insane. Yeah. Now,
Terry over here thinking it's gonna be the direct of all directs.
I could see a situation where we get like a really small teaser for Metroid Prime 4 this E3, right? That's what I'm pulling for.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say at the direct, and I was about to be like,
No. You don't. I don't think we'll see anything related to Metroid Prime 4 in this direct, unless by some godsend of a miracle beyond reality in the fourth dimension, it comes out this year. But that's not happening. I do not believe that's happening.
No.
But I do think there's a small chance, or maybe a 50-50 chance. I don't know what the chance is, but I do think there's a chance that maybe Metroid Prime 4 could come out, say, holiday 2021, which would be a year and a half from now, right? I think that's possible, right? And if that's the case, then maybe we'll get a teaser for Metroid Prime 4 at this year's E3. Or maybe, even if it's not coming out next year, if Nintendo at least has something to show, just to tell fans, hey, look, I know you guys really want this. Here's a little bit. Just keep in mind, it's still a ways off. As long as they're clear about that messaging, I think fans will be okay. But they have to be clear about that messaging. If they are not clear about that messaging, that will be a problem. So
it's hard to predict Metroid Prime 4 because like other games, you can kind of try to predict when they might show it. But this one, it's just through such a different cycle than the other ones. I mean, they showed it off way before they would show off any of the other games. Like they would have never shown it off that early if it was literally any other game on the Switch, and then it got restarted. So it's in a weird situation right now. So
yeah,
it's hard to predict.
Absolutely. Slayer, he added me. What would you want to see be shadow dropped during the next direct? Even an announced game you'd like to see on Switch. There's actually a game I keep the Panzer Dragoon remake. I'd be really excited to see that. It was supposed to come out this winter, but that's obviously not happening because winter is gone.
Winter is coming.
I was able to.
Technically, it hasn't. It's still like a few more days. Or
but it's so.
But
this is
pretty much.
But this is. I have it on screen right here. This, the Nintendo.
It's supposed to come out in. It was supposed to come out last year.
Yeah, so it's been delayed and not very much. It hasn't really spoken of very much. But I would like this game to come out soon. And if they were to shadow drop it on the eShop, that would be great. I'm excited for this game because was always interested in Panzer Dragoon back on the Saturn, and to see it remade for Switch in the way it has.
I've only seen it a little bit, but it kind of reminds me of, like Star Fox.
Yeah, no, it is kind of like a Star Fox, but like with dragons.
That's pretty awesome.
And I love Star Fox, and I love dragons, so I like this.
It's absolutely gorgeous too.
Yeah,
imagine if we got a Star Fox game with that like level of detail.
I think the next Star Fox game should have higher than this level of detail, right? Yeah. But it hasn't happened yet.
We haven't even got anything close to that, though. I mean, like Star Fox Zero was not even close to that.
No, it wasn't. No. Where is my chat? Oh, I deleted. I did not delete chat. We're good. We are good. I see we got 20 concurrent viewers and 10 likes. That's pretty good. For those who would also, you guys, if you're watching, leave a like, it'd be appreciated. Make sure to check out Brandon's channel as well. And if you want to share this podcast with someone else, that's cool too. Yep, I'd be happy with that.
Please do. Please and thank you.
So we're almost caught with the chat here, and then we'll actually jump back into the swing of things. Master G asked, or just said, it would be better if they show us Bayonetta 3 and Breath of the Wild 2 on E3 instead of a random direct. Well. Maybe, maybe not. Now, it's okay. It's just Apocalypse. Anyway, like, I think that, especially with Breath of the Wild 2, it deserves to have like a large stage, and we get to get a whole bunch of information about it, kind of like the way Breath of the Wild was revealed back at E3. However, I also think that having trailers to hype us up about what's coming out later on in the year is also really important. Great example, a fantastic example, perhaps the best example. Back in 2018, in the March and Tunnel Direct that we had then, what did we get? We got the reveal, well, it was just a teaser at the time, for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I think, if I remember correctly, it did confirm the game was coming out that in 2020. The game was not even announced. It was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. They said, like, 2020. So something like that, like a quick teaser, not like a full blowout of what the game is like, but another like kind of teaser, kind of like the initial one, where we're kind of just trying to figure out what's going on with the story and the gameplay, getting clues and hints, something just to talk about and hype us up for a few months, and confirming the 2020 release. That will really excite people, and that'll probably sell some people on the promise of 2020. You tell us that you got a big open world 3D Zelda game that is polishing up, arguably one of the best Zelda games ever made with Breath of the Wild coming out this year, that's going to have a lot of people all in on Switch this year. So I think it is important if that is an option for them. If the game's not ready, the game's not ready, right? But if they know that that's going to happen, I think that news should come out this March. If they know. If they don't know, then they don't know, right? So that's different.
I definitely could see it being even something as small as back in 2016, where we got that trailer. Trailer was like all of 3 seconds, where it was just Link on his horse on a field, and the camera just rotated around him, and then it said 2016 back before it got delayed again.
Yeah, but that moment was really exciting.
Something like that. Yeah, it was awesome.
It gave us Zelda fans something to talk about, excited about. So that something as simple as that would be really enjoyable.
Like details in the distance. That was before we knew about, like being able to craft food and stuff like that. So like there was a lot of different like details we were figuring out. We didn't know what the Sheikah Slate was, and so it could be one of those things where it's like on the surface, it's just 3 seconds of footage and a 2020 confirmation. But if you look deeper, maybe you can see some secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, when we get our Zelda trailer, we're gonna analyze everything and then some.
Yeah.
I mean, the initial Breath of the Wild trailer was ridiculous, actually, because like you had the music, and the music had voices, and if you played it backwards, it told you a message, and it was scary. And then there's all the glyphs that have their own message that we haven't entirely been able to decrypt even now. And then, of course, there's all the other details, and then just looking at the corpse that was Ganondorf and seeing Zelda and her design, and that perhaps implying something with the gameplay, and then also seeing
Link's new power.
Link's new power,
magic stuff.
right? Being underground.
No Sheikah Slate.
No Sheikah Slate, right? Being
no
underground.
Sheikah technology, period.
Yeah, no Sheikah technology, period. Exactly. Another great point, because even when you see the entire shot of Hyrule, there is no Sheikah technology, no Sheikah towers, no shrines. That is missing entirely. What happened? And then we're underground, which we didn't get to do at all in Breath of the Wild. There weren't really too many caves or anything like that. I think that was a little bit lacking there. That's another thing. So they're suggesting even more elevation, right? Which was kind of one of the big things about the open airness of Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of elevation.
That is kind of something weird about Breath of the Wild. It's like there's only like very few caves. Like the only time you go underground is if it's like a very specific
shrine.
Thing.
Yeah.
It's
or
like one room, you go to a shrine, and then that's about it.
Yeah. I thought that was weird that there was minimal caves. And of course, there's no classic dungeons, really.
Zelda games always like have caves and stuff.
Yeah, and
it's weird that there's none.
Another weird thing that we've talked about, right, is that given that Breath of the Wild has a location hinting or alluding to some other aspect of Zelda lore throughout the entire history of the franchise, like there is like an island or a location or an item just kind of paying homage to pretty much everything in Zelda history. Considering how extensive the map is in that way in terms of locales, there is very, very, very little evidence of any of the classic dungeons throughout Zelda history, save for the Forgotten Temple and the Temple of Time. Everything else is just nowhere, right? I mean, maybe you can make an argument with the praying shrines that Zelda was at, but even then, there's still a whole bunch more that just aren't there. So it kind of begs the question, where are they? Well, the perfect answer is, because it's been so long, they're all underground. And in the trailer, we see them exploring a dungeon or something like that, right? So, point is, we'll talk about Zelda because that's a big part of what this Direct could perhaps have. Point is that trailer we got gave us so much to figure out, right? And it wouldn't shock me if there's still some other detail there that we haven't quite picked up on or talked about.
Oh, 100% there is.
Yeah.
We're going to see the game and we're going to be like, oh, this was referencing this and this was referencing that. And we didn't even know, and it's definitely going to be like that.
Yeah, but regardless, with that trailer, we got so much. So seeing another trailer like that, or even half of that, would be great to tide us over for the next couple of months to E3, just to excite people about the promise of Breath of the Wild 2 this year. If it's coming this year. If it's not coming this year, then, maybe not, right? Then just save for E3 to talk about a little bit more. That's different. But we'll see what happens, though. So, moving on, though, Kai Mango added me. I don't know if you count that for something related to Nintendo, but when you think that we are going to have a new trailer for LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga with a date. If it's coming to Switch, then yeah.
I think it's coming to the Switch. I'd assume it would.
Yeah. I don't know too much about that, but I mean, if it's coming to Switch, then it's totally Nintendo related. Absolutely. Alexander Christopher Hernandez added me. I know your t-shirt may be DBZ related, but it reminded me of Astral Chain for a while. You may know why. Oh right. I have to look at my camera like on the other monitor. Yeah, there's a duality there. There's a red and blue. Dope. I totally get you. Yeah, for sure. Astral Chain was lit. I would like to see another game like that this year. Another kind of like new IP that's epic, that's at least published by Nintendo. I understand that Platinum Games developed it, but Nintendo did publish it. They did fund it. So if there's a sequel, it's going to be on Nintendo. I'd like to see something like that this year as well. It doesn't have to be from Platinum Games, but something new along those lines.
Just speaking on Platinum Games itself, I could see some ports of some of their other games. I'm like really blanking on their games, but I could see them porting over some of their older titles. Jesus Christ, what is it called?
We're talking about Platinum Games ports. I mean, we already got Okami HD on there. What about Beautiful Joe 1 and 2? Right, there's also Nier Automata, right?
Nier Automata. That's
or Automata. I don't know how you say it.
Automata, Automata, however you say it.
The Nier thing.
Nier, because there's Nier 1 and then there's Nier Automata.
Right.
I could see those getting ports, or one of them.
Yeah.
I'll probably play one.
Yeah.
Maybe the second
I'd
one.
like that. I've been thinking about playing. I might end up just playing on PS4 sooner or later. Did I mention? I don't know if I mentioned in the last podcast, but I played through Shadow of the Colossus Remastered recently. Beat it. I enjoyed the game.
I think you did. Or you might have just talked to it about with
you
me.
maybe. But yeah, I played Shadow of the Colossus Remastered recently, and I really enjoyed the game. I had some issues with the controls. Like the movement was a little awkward. The ending was a little mixed. I had mixed feelings about the ending, but I thought it was a very enjoyable game. It was short. I beat it like 8 hours or so. But beautiful, because I played on the the latest PS4 version. Beautiful game. Definitely gave me some Zelda vibes with the huge world, the horse, the exploration, and some of the music and the tones. That was nice. And then the boss battles were
reminiscent
majestic.
of Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I mean, and both those games came out around a similar time, right? Shadow of the Colossus may have came out beforehand, but they had like the lighting was very like overexposed, right?
Yeah. It's very much like that kind of like PS2 GameCube era kind of lighting where like everything's oversaturated. Even like early Xbox. Actually, a lot of Xbox 360 games have the same.
Well, a lot of 360 games, the next gen look was, it's really shiny. There's a shiny texture on it. Next gen, shiny texture. It's just next gen,
really,
like that glossy look, right? There was that too.
Yeah, that either the glossy look or to try to like get out of the glossy look, you had that like really like lack of color, like just grays and browns, and like everything looks dead and lifeless kind of look.
Yeah,
it's one of the other.
You gotta love them dead and lifeless art styles. They're just so
they're great.
Vivid. That's a joke. Let me see here. Hello there, Control Alt Dan. No, I think we're doing all right. Well, we've just talked about stuff. Watch the replay.
Ever talked about? I don't think we've talked about the topics yet. The actual topics.
Well, we've touched on them, right?
Yeah.
We've touched on them. But some things that we talked about, I think were interesting. We talked about how like the initial Breath of the Wild 2 trailer really told us a lot. It gave us a lot of information to sort of decipher. And if Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out this year, I think it would make sense to have another teaser trailer for confirming that release date or release year in a March Nintendo Direct, if it's coming out this year. If it's not coming out this year, then later on. There anything else we sort of touched on that like took up a large time frame? I mentioned how I'd like to see Panzer Dragoon getting shadow dropped. That'd be nice during a Direct. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just jump into one of the main topics. So, the coronavirus, right? Firstly, I have no idea if mentioning the coronavirus will actually get me demonetized. I've mentioned it a couple times. I don't see how it at all should be against any terms of use, because this is a public issue that's being discussed everywhere, even to elementary school children. If you're not talking about this, I think that's actually worse, right? Because this is something we should all be aware of. It's going to affect literally everyone, unless you live on a private island, which I would love to do someday. But yeah, this is impacting us greatly in many ways. Now, I'm not saying that this is an apocalyptic-like situation and we should all be scared. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that it is something we're going to have to be careful about, we're going to have to be knowledgeable of, and yeah, we're going to have to be prepared for it. This is something is spreading, and it's, in many ways is going to impact our lives besides just the risk of getting it, because a lot of events are being canceled or delayed. Not even necessarily related to gaming. Now with the NBA, they're talking about not having fans come to games. That's insane.
That's insane.
It's insane. Like, how can you have a public sporting event without the audience? It's a big element to the game. It's the home court advantage. It like when you score, the crowd cheers, and that helps to build momentum and things of that nature. So that's kind of crazy, just that alone. But in relation to Nintendo stuff, recently we got news that the 2020 European International Championships for Pokemon Sword and Shield, VGC, are canceled. So that's just one tournament, the International European Tournament, right? There's a whole bunch of other VGC tournaments that are still happening, but at this point they're happening. They may also be canceled or delayed. These are large events with hundreds of people there, hundreds of kids there, and that is a prime situation for the spread of this virus. Because of it, I am not going to the Toronto regional that I really wanted to go to, preparing for. I've been looking forward to an opportunity to take my team, kick ass, and win. Like, that's my goal, win, right? I've never actually won a regional. One time I got third. Like, I want to win. And I've won a lot of small tournaments, like local stuff and things like that, but I've never actually won like a regional where there's a few hundred of like top competitors there. I've gone like last chance qualifier in Worlds, I've gone like to almost the end, like the second or last round there. And in Nationals, I've bubbled out of Top Cut a couple times. So I have experience doing well, but never enough to win. The point is, I want to win, and I'm disappointed because I can't win, right? I'm working on this. So I hope I have another opportunity to go to a regional this year, and I hope the coronavirus doesn't lead to cancellation of all the different regionals. I want at least one opportunity to win something this year. Fingers crossed, because I really love the meta for Pokemon Sword and Shield right now. Point is, we have Pokemon tournaments, big, massive Pokemon tournaments being canceled, right? Recently, we just got news that Nintendo of America will allow their employees to work from home to get their work done. They're still working, which is great, but it's changing what they're going to do. Like, there's going to be employees working from home because of this virus in Washington and Canada at this point, and that's crazy to me. Another thing, GDC, the Game Developer Conference, that was apparently delayed until summer. Normally it happens around this time in March. So we have these different events that are being canceled or pushed up. And we talked about earlier how we've gone through the longest drought ever for Nintendo Directs. You have to wonder if that has perhaps led to the delay of, for example, like certain games, and they have to move up those release dates or get more news on them. And because of that, they had to change around things in Nintendo Direct to adjust for that. Hopefully the games still come out this year, or most of them still come out this year, and things aren't impacted too much. Point is, a lot has happened. It's been impactful. It's literally affecting our lives, our everyday lives. Like, the Nintendo Direct drought may be because of the coronavirus. Maybe. I don't want to say for sure because there's no proof of that.
Right, yeah.
But
it's no solid proof, but
either way, other gaming events for sure are being delayed or canceled because of the coronavirus. So this is definitely
like GDC, it was just like every day, or even like several times a day, it was just like, this person isn't coming, and neither they, and neither them. Just like, just cancel the event. Nobody's gonna be there.
Yeah.
The companies will be there, so they just delayed it to summer. That was sad to see, honestly. It was just like, just continually just people backing out until they just were forced to delay it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. E3 at this point is still planned to happen, by the way. Some people may be backing out of it, but E3 is still planned to happen. Hopefully by summertime, this situation is kept more under control, right? I hope that's the case, because, like, it's kind of funny, right? Now, I think the way I word this could be interpreted as really bad, but just keep in mind, I was young, and it wasn't never taken seriously. But the point is, like, when I was a young kid, right, like, I would read like different like sci-fi books and things like that, some fictional things, and I remember one time reading this book about 2012, the Mayan calendar suggesting the end of the world, right? And it was supposedly a scientific investigation. No. But it did point out a lot of interesting facts, which were cool. But the point is, like, what was interesting about it was there was this kind of, even though obviously it didn't want anyone to get hurt or anyone to die, but the premise of things going awry to the point where I wouldn't have to worry about my lively responsibilities like going to school and stuff like that, that was alluring to me. But now as an adult, where I actually have things that I care about and work for, the premise of things that I care about being delayed or canceled really upset me. Like, and I hope that the coronavirus doesn't continually get more serious and spreads more. I mean, it's gonna spread. It is spreading every day, very quickly. I just hope we get it under control as quickly as possible and everyone's careful about it, because, you know, it's affecting our everyday lives. Like, apparently, you know, there's a strong potential once spring break is over that a lot of schools could shut down for the semester if the virus spreads, like, onto campus. So that's nuts to me, that a whole bunch of colleges could end their semesters because of this virus. That's huge. So I hope that doesn't happen. But you know, it's a serious thing, so we should definitely be prepared for that. Do your research, guys. Clean your hands, and you know, don't let people cough on you, I guess. Yeah. But what are your thoughts, Brandon?
Honestly, it kind of came out of the coronavirus came out of nowhere, because it was like something that was such a small deal when it was first like talked about. Like most people just kind of brushed it off as like it's just something, some, the Chinese people are getting sick. Not that I'm racist against Chinese people, but you know how the internet is. Nobody cares about other people. They're like, this doesn't affect me, so it's whatever. And then all of a sudden, it was just spreading. And then there were cases, and now there's cases in like, I think like 115 countries or something. It's ridiculous. It's like now it's everywhere. And I think there's just a lot of misinformation on it as well. Like even people are still writing it off just because like the scientists are like, wash your hands, stay safe, and you should be fine. But you gotta remember, there's a lot of people who aren't as healthy as you are. There's people who are really, really.
It's more threatening to older people who have compromised immune systems already. Yeah.
Children can get pretty sick.
Yeah.
People who just have immune disorders and things like that. So, I mean, even though you might be relatively safe, not everybody is as healthy as you are. So it can get spread, and you could still get sick just because.
Yeah, just because it doesn't kill you doesn't mean it doesn't suck, right? Yeah, like no one wants to get the flu.
Right? Yeah, it might not be deadly to you, but you still don't want to get sick. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, the flu kills more people than the coronavirus." I'm like, "Yeah, the coronavirus just happened." Like, we don't have much data on it. You can't just say that this thing that we've known for hundreds of years, maybe like I don't know how long the flu's been around, but a long, long time. Like we've known about the flu for forever. You can't just say this new virus is insignificant because there's less cases of it. It's brand stinking new. Like, come on. So I feel like there's a lot of misinformation, and while I do think there is some like I don't know if overreaction is the right word, but people are definitely being very cautious, maybe being a little bit overcautious. But there's definitely a lot of measures that don't necessarily have to happen, but I think they're good. They're good caution measures. Like it's not like I think a lot of the companies that pulled out just to be safe. I don't think there's like what I'm saying. Like it wasn't like necessary that people pulled out of GDC. But I think it's just like a lot of cautionary stuff. So I think people are being like really cautious now. But I think once we get things under control, it will, people will let off, and it won't be so like everything's on lockdown. Like don't go anywhere, like stay at home kind of thing. Like a lot of countries, like you stay at home, you don't leave. So I think once we figure out what's going on, everybody. We get everything under control, it won't be as crazy as it is right now. I think people are being overly cautious, but I think it is justified.
Yeah. Again, safety should be a priority. I just hope it's all resolved and we're all safe so we can get on with our Nintendo Direct and other great stuff. And our Pokemon tournaments and other things. Just kind of going through the chat, you're seeing what some of you guys are saying. Alexander said, as a med student, I'm assuming, I can say the virus is not the most lethal, but is easy to get and still hurts anyway. It mostly kills people with immunological, chronic, or breath problems, not everyone. Yeah, so yeah, it's not lethal to everyone, but it is still something that can be a problem for anyone. Getting sick is not great, and for some people who do have those problems, for sure, they got to be really safe, for sure.
Yeah.
Current Control Out Dan saying that I'm sure my university will end the semester if it gets worse. Hopefully before exams. That'd be hilarious. Yeah.
See, like funny. I'm hoping it doesn't happen because I actually want to finish my semester.
You want to finish your semester? Yeah. You want to get your work done? Absolutely. Like for sure. Terry added me. Stores are having problems keeping toilet paper on the shelves. I mean, people are gonna start stocking up.
People are being absolutely stupid. They're over there like buying like all the soap on it. Stop it! Like I've seen it all over the internet, but I'm gonna say it again because it makes sense. Like, you need other people to wash their hands too. You can't stop the virus if you have all the soap in the whole store. Like
Yeah.
you see people with like a whole freaking like shopping carts of just cleaning supplies and soap. It's like, bro, leave some for the rest of us. You just
Yeah.
need, just like most people, just be cautious. Like you should already be washing your hands multiple times a day, like, you know, staying safe, but just be extra careful. You don't have to buy all the soap in the whole store.
Yeah.
You're being ridiculous.
So Alexander added me. However, it replicates really fast and it has no cure yet. Take recommendations and practice hygiene. Touristic and crowded places are risky if there are cases in countries. Take care. Which is exactly why I'm no longer going to the Toronto Regional, even though I really want to go. I really want to go. Oh my god, I've been training up my Charizard and my other Pokemon, and I want to go, man, and wipe them out. But I can't. Not right now. Oh well.
Sad days.
Sad days. Super Chris, you've had the flu before. It's not fun. No, it's not. Flu is bad.
I've luckily
Not
never had
enjoyable.
it, but I've heard it.
It's not fun. Hello there, Geek. How you doing? Caleb Stars Entertainment. Did you hear about a video being added to the Japanese Nintendo Direct playlist? Yes, I did. And that's actually almost a great segue into our next topic, because we're going to be talking about Nintendo Direct. But I'll check out this a couple more comments here. Alexander, as Brandon said, it has killed people and it is dangerous. Also, like you said, media has made people gone on fear. Depression and fear are actual enemies of the immune system, so calm and act smart. Yeah, stay positive, stay healthy, you know, pay attention to what's going on. Don't freak out. Just be prepared. Absolutely. So, Nintendo Direct stuff. And if you guys want to continue talking about the coronavirus stuff or anything, of course, you can talk about the chat and ask me questions. We'll still get to it. But I'm going to move on to the Nintendo Direct stuff. So, as Caleb 5 Stars Entertainment pointed out, yes, Nintendo Direct Nintendo has updated their playlists. And whenever that happens, usually a Nintendo Direct appears shortly after that. That's how it tends to be. And I have an article here. Is that exactly what happened? Yeah, I mean, thinking we'd have it on Nintendo's American playlist. Oh no, it was a Japanese playlist. Yeah, Nintendo. I'll just show you guys what I'm looking up on. I have a Nintendo Super article showing exactly that, right here. Yep, there it is, an image of it being updated. So, you know, it is it has been updated. That does mean that they are probably putting something on there, getting ready to have information come out. It could mean a Nintendo Direct. Does it for sure mean Nintendo Direct? No, but there is a trend for that. We've talked about how there's been multiple ratings in the last few weeks that have come up for games. Like, for example, the one that keeps coming up is BioShock Collection to me. I'm really excited about that. But also Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition as well. If these games are getting ratings, that suggests the games are right around the corner, ready to go. And that'd be really cool to see them get shown off more or revealed entirely, like BioShock Collection for the Switch. And get release dates. We need that. There's no thing. There is nothing whatsoever that is announced from Nintendo to come out on the Switch after Animal Crossing, which comes out, I think, like next week or something, right? It's really soon.
That's so crazy.
Well,
yeah, it is next week.
Isn't it the 20th?
Yeah, which I think is
right. So 12 days. So like late into next week. Yeah. So we're getting there, guys, and that game's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, it's not usually my cup of tea, but I kind of like the whole building the island around and terraforming and doing stuff like that and adventuring around. It seems pretty exciting to me. So I'm gonna be jumping back into Animal Crossing, and that's gonna be fun. But after that, what next? We need to know what's coming up next, and we have no idea at all. So we need information really, really soon. I think it's going to be happening. But, you know, there's something else, and we're going to delve into rumor territory here, right? Should I go with the rumors that I find to be more credible or the bullshit ones first?
Let's do the bullshit ones first.
All right, bullshit ones first. So, Nintendo Prime. Now, it might not be bullshit, okay? Just to be clear. This might not be bullshit, but Nintendo Prime covered this the other day, which is why it came to my attention as someone from Reset Era who doesn't really make posts about this. Not necessarily an established track record, and because there's no established track record, because they said a lot, that alone, I for that reason, I don't consider it super credible, but it's at least fun to talk about, so we're going to talk about it. And then I'll get to some stuff that I think is a little bit more, that I think is more tangible evidence, or not evidence, but just something more believable in my opinion. But anyway, this could be real. I don't think it necessarily is, but maybe. So, should I just read it out? It's a lot. Okay, we're reading it out. All right, so this is from Bochica on Reset Era. Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say sorry if my English isn't good. It is not my native language. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Bochica. And even though I've had an account here from the beginning of the year, I never decided to post. Actually, I had some little infos about previous Direct, but as these were not particularly interesting, I never posted them. I know that rumors of fake leaks are going well recently, as everyone is impatient and even more about Zelda. To you, I will probably only be another random one. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Basically, they're talking about Super Metroid being in this Direct, Breath of the Wild 2 getting a teaser, confirming for holiday 2020, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and it'll have 2 other areas. That's pretty much it. But just for the record, I had the screen covered, but as I was reading it, I was doing this. Blah, 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 blah. But that's the, yeah. So the rumor saying Super Metroid remake, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is going to be the Direct, and it'll have 2 new areas, and Breath of the Wild 2 will be coming out holiday 2020. They do talk about Breath of the Wild 2, actually. I guess I could read that part for you guys. Let me see here. Okay, I'll just go to that part. As my friend and I are both big fans of Zelda, he didn't skip the chance to detail me the teaser from the sequel, which is supposed to be revealed in this presentation. I don't know where all the recent leakers have found their informations, but nothing of the sort would actually appear in this short trailer. According to my friend, we would see one by one all the different peoples of the game after the victory. Already known towns and villages would be quite the same without visible changes, except for Hateno Village, which would be way bigger and have more inhabitants. Everywhere in the field will be built tiny houses inhabited by farmers. As he told me this, blah, 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 whatever. He explained to me that the trailer was speeding eventually, and at the end, where an earthquake would disturb the peace of the different peoples. It's kind of hard to understand, but he was noting that the little farmers was kind of reminiscent of the game when it was first shown off. Remember that first trailer for it? Anyway, I'll read this last part here. Something would come to hide the sun, and every descendant of the champions, each one in their own town, would look up at the same time, searching for the reason for the darkening. Hyrule Castle would be lifted into the air in parallel of the first teaser at E3. A series of similar pictures would come to it, and the only moments where we'd actually see Link and Zelda. No titles are indicated, only holidays 2020. Yeah, so the English is not great there. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. I don't really believe this, but I think it's possible. I think the premise of the descendants of the champions playing a role in Breath of the Wild 2 makes sense. I think them continuing off the story of the first trailer where the castle is rising makes sense. I think the premise of Hateno Village having more inhabitants and being bigger makes sense. A little bit more time has passed. Perhaps they've expanded a fair bit. So all of that makes sense to me. I don't think that's crazy. Right. I think all of that could very well happen regardless of what this rumor is suggesting, right? The reason I don't really buy into this rumor is because there's no credibility here. It's just another one of those crazy things. And they're talking about Super Metroid as a remake. Now, that was rumored by someone, but I don't consider that person to be very credible. That was coming from Leaky Pandy. Leaky Pandy, I think, is just a liar. That's what I think. Could be wrong. I'm sorry if I offended you, Leaky Pandy, if you ever see this, but that's just what I think. Could be wrong. Point is, they do not have a good track record. However, there have been other rumors suggesting something related to Metroid Fusion, either that being the sequel to Metroid Fusion, which would be Metroid 5, or a remake of Metroid Fusion. That to me makes more sense, either of those. A remake of Super Metroid, I mean, I'd play it, I'd enjoy it, but it's like the one that doesn't need the remake the most.
So weird.
And
it's
I
like,
also...
it's not broke, don't fix it. Like
Yeah.
There's other games in the Metroid series that need remakes more now, like Fusion.
Fusion is not as widely available as Super Metroid is, so that I think that's another reason to maybe remake Metroid Fusion instead. And I mean, at the same time, Metroid Fusion is a solid game. It's kind of like Super Metroid. I honestly prefer just a whole new Metroid game. That's what I want the most.
Right.
So, and we're talking about 2D Metroid for the record, guys, not Metroid Prime.
Right.
So that's the thing. And actually, yeah, so I don't believe this rumor for that reason alone. Not just that reason, but that's another reason. There's all the other stuff I brought up. What do you think of this rumor, Brandon?
Honestly, the Zelda, like usually when you hear Zelda rumors, they're just like don't make any sense, or they just sound completely like way too much, or there's something that doesn't sound like would happen. Like this Zelda rumor actually, like he was being pretty conservative. So, he's saying like most of the towns are the same, but Hateno Village is different. There's a few small, like buildings with the farmers and stuff, and then he talked about the darkening, the castle rising, like that doesn't, like if that's made up, that's actually very clever, like actually an idea that sounds cool. Like usually people just come up with some kind of like weird crossover thing, or they like come up with a story that's just like way over the top and just insane. But this, if it is made up, like that's actually a really good leap, because it's not like too insane of a thing, and it actually makes like sense and it sounds cool. um the only thing that I really think is weird is, as you were saying, the Super Metroid. I'm like, why would you remake Super Metroid? Honestly,
Yeah.
if it said Metroid Fusion, I'd be like, oh, maybe this is actually real. If it's just that one thing throwing me off, the Zelda thing actually sounds like something can happen. Doesn't sound like it's anything like super long either. Like that sounds like a pretty short trailer as well. Which we were kind of thinking if it did get shown off, it'd be a pretty short trailer. So, overall, I other than the Super Metroid thing, this isn't really giving me any bad vibes or fake vibes.
No, I don't think it's like a crazy thing like any of that to happen, and I think it is possible that Super Metroid could happen, right? Like I could see Nintendo be like, you know what, let's just remake Super Metroid. Like of all of them, why not? It's a good one. Do it. It could happen. I just don't really believe it. There's not really any there's no evidence for this to be real, right? There's nothing there to make it real. People come up with fake leaks all the time. Yes, it's on Reset Era, but being on Reset Era doesn't make your word truth, right? You basically just have to have a legitimate email address that's not easily faked. So if you work for some sort of legit company or something, or you get a paid email, you can get in. So it's not that hard to get access to Reset Era. A little bit easier than just like, I guess, 4chan or something, but not that much harder. So yeah, I don't think it's real, but maybe, right? And we're going to talk about something that I think is a little bit more interesting one. I just want to kind of flow through the chat here. I appreciate the mods for taking care of any potential issues. That is certainly appreciated. Yep. Good evening, Vooper. Cakeman. Direct in the second week of March, Pikmin 4 and Prime 4 rumor. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? I don't know about Prime 4. I don't know about either of those, honestly. I hope, but I don't know if I could. I think I don't expect Pikmin 4 or Prime 4 anytime. So I think there was a rumor for a while, but I don't believe that we'll get those two in a direct next week or sometime this month. I just don't believe that. Seems too unlikely to me. Like the rumors right now is that we're gonna get a Pikmin 3 port, right? And Prime 4, I just don't see, like, I don't expect, if we see Prime 4 at all this year, it's gonna be at E3.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be during another direct. I don't expect that. Terry Severson, I'm doubtful that Breath of the Wild 2 will be a 2020 game. I believe it'll be a 2021 game along with a possible Mario Odyssey 2. That's certainly possible, right? Absolutely. Possible. And as we're talking about earlier, the coronavirus has led to a lot of delayed events and things of that nature. It could be affecting the manufacturing process for a lot of games and consoles, perhaps. And if that's the case, especially if Nintendo employees can't actually get into work to develop games, like that could delay something. And that's scary for me because I want my games to come out, but of course, safety first, right? Always safety first. Even if Breath of the Wild 2 could have come out this year, the coronavirus could impact that. And I hope that does not happen. I hope everything is going to be okay, but yet we don't know at this point. So we'll have to wait and see, fingers crossed. But either way, there are some signs pointing to Nintendo Direct. Hopefully everything will work out just fine, right? I mean, the good news is that a lot of this is technology. A lot of things can be done digitally, right? Like Nintendo American employees are going to be working from home in Washington and Canada. So like that, there are ways to sort of circumnavigate this virus and restrain the spread of the disease and still develop games and work on them.
Technology.
So, hopefully we'll have to worry too much about this in terms of games coming out in the latter half of the year. Fingers crossed. And
if this was back in like the GameCube era, we'd be doomed. It'd be over.
Oh yeah. There'd
be no hope of getting any work.
Well, there were so many droughts and delays during that time anyway. People were like, oh, this is normal. Nothing's changed, especially in the Wii U era.
Oh god.
Yeah. Oh, that was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember when they showed off Xenoblade Chronicles X in like 2013?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's there is a what was I gonna say? So the other kind of rumor I want to talk about is related to Pixelpar. Now, I'm gonna pull up his Twitter. So Pixelpar is a cool guy on Twitter. I recommend you guys follow him. Really cool dude. So talks about games as well. Now, what's interesting about him is that he's an industry insider. And occasionally when he gets some info, he likes to tease it with like images and drawings. So the basic thing is that with Pixelpar, if he starts drawing stuff about Nintendo, that means people assume he's teasing something, right? Now, he isn't necessarily teasing something, but let's just kind of go through his Twitter feed right here and tell me what you think. So here is a drawing of Link. Stairs to go alone. Yes, I definitely like that. Anything Zelda, I'll like. Talking about, this is just related to like the anniversary, right? Anniversary stuff. It has some more drawings here. Just another little gift he created for this 30-year anniversary for Switch, right? But hold on. Look at this. Link, wake up, do something. And he has this little guy poking Link. Wake up, do something. What do you mean? Has Zelda... So PC here, people are already like assuming, oh, you mean Zelda, don't you? It's coming. He also might just be not talking about that at all. And here, it's for Pikmin as well. So maybe he's thinking that maybe something for Pikmin should be happening soon as well. So maybe all he knows about this something for Zelda and Pikmin this year, and he's waiting for Nintendo Direct to happen so they can be talked about. Maybe. So anyway, Pixelpar has a history of teasing things like that, but sometimes it is just just him just joking around. It doesn't necessarily mean anything at all. So the reason why I take more credibility with that is because Pixelpar actually has inside information, and he has in the past, on multiple occasions, put up drawings for different things, hinting at them. I remember, for example, Pokemon Let's Go. He had a whole bunch of drawings teasing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. It's just something he sometimes does, and I think it's cool. So if those drawings are suggesting anything, it could mean we could be getting both Zelda news and Pikmin news in a Direct really soon. And given that we've already talked about how Nintendo updated their playlist listing on March 4th, right? That usually precedes a Nintendo Direct announcement that supports it as well. Given that we've gotten ratings for multiple games, including Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and an ESRB rating, that means those games are right around the corner as well. We need news on them, right? And also given that once Animal Crossing comes out in like 12 days, there will be no known published Nintendo games we don't have no known release dates for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, considering all of that, I think it is reasonable to expect something soon.
And as we were talking about on the last podcast, apparently General Directs just barely ever happen in the second half of the month. They're almost always in the first half of the month. I think there's one time I think we found that was a General Direct in the second half of the month. One time.
So
but every other Direct is in the first half of the month.
Yeah, and I think it often happened like towards the middle, right? So
yeah,
I think a Direct on the 12th, which would be this Thursday, could work. I think maybe if it could happen like the week after on the 19th, maybe.
That'd be so weird of General Direct the day before Animal Crossing. It'd be so weird.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense for it to be this week. Yeah, it does.
It's like, hey, I know you guys are all looking forward to Animal Crossing. Here's every other.
Well, I mean, they could just have a reminder in that Direct for Animal Crossing, though.
Could. It's just kind of weird.
I like the idea of it happening this upcoming week because I'm off on that day, on the Thursday or the Wednesday. I'm off on both those days, actually. And that gives me time to talk about that and then prepare for Animal Crossing next week. So I'm okay with that if that's what happens, but I just don't want to like say for sure that's happening, because the reality situation is that we've been talking about Nintendo Direct happening in January. That was a big nope. We were talking about it happening in February. That was a big nope. We're now in March, right? But also I have to say that we are going through the longest Nintendo Direct drought ever when it comes to general Nintendo Directs ever. And the second closest one to this drought that was comparable had a Nintendo Direct Mini in between. We didn't even get that. So this is kind of unprecedented in terms of like waiting for a Nintendo Direct. It's got to happen sooner or later, right? So yeah. I'm thinking that it is next week, provided everything is fine in Nintendo. But given the whole coronavirus situation, that's hard to say for sure. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or put fear in people's hearts or whatever. So
you're saying this Thursday or next Thursday is what you were saying?
I'm saying that this Tuesday, I think there's going to be an announcement, and I think the Direct will be on Thursday. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm sort of planning a little bit around. I don't know if that will actually happen, obviously. I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm thinking and hoping.
Yeah. That's what I've been thinking. Second week of March. That sounds good to me. I just think it's been enough time. We gotta get it. I don't know. It just feels like now is the time. If it doesn't happen, it's gotta be the week after. And if it doesn't happen then, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna crawl in a hole, cry.
I'm gonna continue playing Luigi's Mansion. I will continue making videos about the history of Nintendo and doing theories and stuff like that. Like recently, last week, I put out a video talking about how the Minish could potentially return in Breath of the Wild 2, I think. Yeah, that was actually
a really good video.
Thank you. I think there's some potential there because we've seen that Nintendo worked on that idea for Breath of the Wild, but they had to pull it out because they didn't think it really fit the vision. But considering the inspirations for the Minish, right, they're kind of like the elves that worked with the shoemaker and helped to build things. That it was even an actual quest in Minish Cap where they helped to build the shoes while the shoemaker was sleeping. They're builders, right? And they like to hide around. And considering that there may be a big emphasis on reconstruction in Hyrule, what if the Minish play a role in helping that reconstruction or something along those lines? Maybe. It's just a theory, right? A game theory. Oh, God, I can't believe I did that.
No.
But, things like that we can still delve into and talk about. The week before, I went into some meme history about Metroid or why Metroid can't crawl.
Yeah.
So, if there isn't like hard news to talk about, I'm just going to delve deeper into the lore for Nintendo and theories for Nintendo, which I think is great. I mean, I wish I did more of it. It's just kind of like a time thing, really.
Yeah, I've been enjoying them. I was surprised that the why Metroid can't, or why can't Metroid crawl. I actually thought that was an older meme than it is. I don't know. I've just been hearing it for so long. I just felt like it's been around forever.
Well,
I didn't realize it came from the Miiverse.
Yeah, I know, right? But I mean, time is flying, right? Like the Wii U is
for real
gone.
Wii U's already 8 years old.
Yeah, that's quite a long time. There's a lot of people.
Well, it will be this holiday, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So don't fret, guys. There's still a lot to like talk about. I mean, I have a huge backlog of games to play, right? I'm working on Luigi's Mansion now. I'm trying to get into Elite Smash, and I'm playing Pokemon right now. I may try out Nier Automata soon. So I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if it's Nier Automata or Nier Automata. Whatever it's pronounced, that's one of the games that's kind of like on my to-do list to play through. And that's a lot right there. That's gonna hold me for a little bit while I finish off Luigi's Mansion, and then that. Beyond that, so much. Actually, I never even got
just a lot of PC stuff.
Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I had never picked that up either. Game. So that's another game.
You got the main game, and the Donkey Kong expansion was pretty big.
Yeah. So that's a whole other thing. I still actually haven't finished Starlink, so I could go back and finish that.
I haven't either. I've played it like twice.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun, but I was just been getting distracted by other games.
Yeah. So, how should we end this? Because I mean, the guys in the chat, if you have any questions or things you want to talk about, yeah, it's so cool. I have my own too. But we can go into Nintendo Direct because I feel like we've talked about that ad nauseum already, right? Like several times. what I would like to do, maybe just talk a little bit more about Zelda.
Okay.
How do you have any perspective, Brandon, on how Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be, right? Like, how do you think they're going to take this game? Like, how do you think it could play out, like, in terms of the story and the gameplay?
Okay. I've made some videos about it. I mean, obviously you guys can check that out on my channel, but I think that there's just a lot of hints in this trailer. I think that lack of Sheikah technology and that new green power that Link has, I think that's really going to change it up, because one of the big puzzles, pretty much all the puzzles revolve around the Sheikah slate, and if you don't have that, like, the game is just completely different, like, without the Sheikah slate. So
Right.
I think that will be like a new power set, like same map, new power set, that just completely changes everything. If you have different powers, like, you could have a whole other, like, how many, like 120? You could have a whole other 120 shrines, or whatever kind of like mini dungeons, if they decide to bring
It's
those
like
back.
just different powers, right?
Yeah, different powers, and bam, all of a sudden you got all kinds of puzzle opportunities.
Actually, you know what I think? I think we're gonna get the return of the hook shot.
Ooh.
Now, it
That
may
would be
not
very-
be called the hook shot, but we'll have a mechanic that functions as a hook shot, and it could be that glowy thing. And actually, this is another video we could talk about. I can make later on. Just kind of like, there is another piece of concept art that shows Link with a hook shot like item, right? That's like his hand, like a replacement for his hand, right? And it has some glowiness to it, kind of like what happens to Link's hand in the trailer. So what if that thing gives you different powers and abilities, and one of that includes kind of like a glowy hookshot kind of thing? I can kind of see that happening. So I definitely am with you there, Brandon. I think that hand for sure is gonna give you different powers and abilities. Now, another interesting thing, right? Breath of the Wild 2, right? Maybe the 2 is, well, they never actually named it 2, right?
Right.
But like, what
They
if
just said the sequel is now in development.
Right, but what if, they are thinking that we can play with both Link and Zelda, right? Like, Zelda does have more of that sporty design, right? And Zelda's very loved, and there have been multiple interviews where he's been asked about this, and there's been a strong demand for playable Zelda or a female lead in Zelda to play, right? It's never been denied, right? It just hasn't happened. Now, I personally think that Link is the main character for the Zelda series, and that if you have a Zelda game, a mainline Zelda game without Link playable, that's a problem. That's something I don't like the idea of. However, I also think it'd be really cool if Zelda could play a bigger role. Now, maybe she's an alternative character you could play as. That's one option. Maybe you play as both at different points. That's another option. A third option is to have Zelda as a companion character, right? And I've talked about that in the past. For example, like if you've played God of War, Kratos and his son, there's a lot of mechanics going on between the both of them, and it's kind of like that secondary character is kind of part of your moveset and your abilities, like what they can do and sort of working with you.
Right.
And Zelda's not really a fighter, right? So a Zelda game without fighting would be a little weird to me, but she does have magic powers. Now, she did lose them at the end of Breath of the Wild 1, so she might have to build up her powers throughout Breath of the Wild 2. I could see that happening. That makes a lot of sense to me. So maybe there's some sort of play there they could do with that. And maybe they could even somehow find a way to make this like a fun co-op game. That would be, I think there's potential there. Maybe. It's possible until it's just like, nope, Zelda's she gets kidnapped at the end, and you gotta save her again. I don't think they're gonna do that, though, because he kind of already did it with the original. But we know she's playing a role in this story. So if we know she's playing a role in this story, like, it's not like Majora's Mask, where, yeah, you save Zelda in the first one, right? You did not save Zelda in the second one, right? They didn't do that. They did something different. But they got away with not having Zelda involved because she was more like a flashback, right? You're in a completely different world. This is taking place in Hyrule, and you know Zelda is a big character in this story because they're both in the trailer together. Things are happening to them. So I don't think they're just going to straight up save her. I think her role, for sure, like 100%, is going to be different. How different will it be? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I feel like the most different Zelda has been, like, as far as roles go, would be like Tetra and Wind Waker. That's probably the most different Zelda has been, as far as, like, yeah, she did end up getting captured, like, at the very end of the game, but for like most of the game, Like she was
She
not
was tough.
the one you were trying to save. Yeah.
No, she was tough. And there have been moments where Zelda and Link have worked together in combat. Like
Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time,
and Wind Waker. All of them in the final fight.
and Wind Waker.
All three of them, she plays a role in the final fight. Skyward Sword, no, Skyward Sword, you just straight up save her. She is pure damsel in distress. A very nice.
Spirit Tracks. You work with Zelda a lot.
Oh, she's your Navi.
She's
more than your Navi.
Technically, you could say Zelda's playable in that game.
There you go. But that's the thing though. Breath of the Wild is the first game that didn't really have a companion character. I guess the closest thing to a companion character was the Sheikah Slate and Zelda, because she would occasionally, very, very, very occasionally give you hints, like just in the beginning of the game, pretty much. But she was closest thing to a companion character.
You had Old Man for a little bit.
Yeah. So I could see a situation like maybe they'll just doing away with the whole companion character mechanic. Like they don't really need that, I guess. But I could see Zelda being a companion character to some extent. Or maybe they could be companion characters for each other. How will that work out in an open world game? I don't know. But I'll say I think there's a ton of potential there, especially for puzzles. Imagining the dynamic between... Actually, like, if you play Luigi's Mansion 3, which we've been talking about throughout this podcast, that game's huge on co-op. And a lot of puzzles are built around Luigi and Gooigi. And yes, you can play it on your own. Yeah. But you can also play it as co-op, and together there's some serious puzzle dynamics there. Now, the difference with that, though, is that Luigi's Mansion 3 has a locked camera per room. So that's how you can control. Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be an open world game, right? Open air game. So it's not just, X and Y axis. It's X, Y, and Z axis. So there's a lot there to sort of see and control. So playing on one... Maybe co-op won't happen for that reason, right? Like if it does happen, maybe like it only could be like online multiplayer, like online co-op.
Maybe.
Or LAN or something.
God, I online co-op seems even less likely knowing.
Actually,
Nintendo.
I mean, considering that it's Zelda, they're probably just gonna focus on it being a single player experience. Like they could, if they could pull off co-op, maybe, but because it's Zelda and because of the world and being able to see everything in the camera perspective. And just simply be able to run the game properly, right? Like, probably, if anything, she'll just be a companion character. But she'll be able to do a lot. Or maybe you could switch out between the both of them. Just maybe not co-op.
It could be that you could give her, like, commands. Instead of actually directly controlling her.
Yeah.
You could just tell her to do something. Like, she might have a limited move set. And you could tell her to do a command. And she'll do it to help you solve a puzzle or something.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I do expect them to do something different though. Like they're gonna make it interesting. And the other thing is that Link actually do you remember which hand it is that gets the glowy thing? Is it his right hand?
I assume I
think it's his right hand.
It might be his left. I'm not sure.
Well,
no, I assume it would be his right because he holds his sword so he could use the power and.
No, Link in Breath of the Wild is right-handed.
Oh, he is.
He is.
I forgot.
Let's
Why? It's so
quickly,
weird. It's probably his left hand then, right?
Well, we can confirm this right now, Brandon.
True. Why are we even questioning?
We have the internet.
We have the technology.
Yeah. All right, so it's not a long trailer. We don't need sound for this. Where is it? It's there's a couple shots
Yeah, it's real short, so you gotta make sure you don't skip over it.
Yeah.
I've had trouble finding this in the past. I swear I probably have a picture, almost.
Yeah, there's probably a picture of it, but this is more fun. For me, at least. Hey guys, if you don't... Okay, wait, we're probably close to it here. Now, by the way, that's totally Ganondorf. There's no debate that that's Ganondorf. He has the gem. He has the hole in his chest from Twilight Princess. He has the eyes, the red hair. Yeah, I totally missed it. I missed it. How did I miss it? It is a quick shot. Maybe did I have a... There it is. There it is. Yeah, I found it. It's very quick. It's there, that's his right hand.
Right.
Yeah, it's his right hand. So that's his hand that he uses the Master Sword, and we know he has a Master Sword. So does that mean he's gonna lose the use of his hand as a sword thing, or is it just gonna be like magic that imbues into it? Hard to say. I don't know. Not being able to use a sword would be weird. Unless Zelda is a sword fighter in this game. But again, she's not a fighter, right? She doesn't use swords.
Right.
So I have a hard time imagining a Zelda game without the use of the sword. That would be really breaking convention. I don't want that. I want to use my sword. So
Yeah, I want to use my sword.
But that it is happening to his right hand. So it's hard to say how exactly it's going to turn out. Just checking with the chat here. What were you saying, Brandon?
You couldn't use the Sheikah Slate with your sword or anything like that, so I guess it makes sense.
You could do it set like one or the other. Maybe like the powers could lead to sword enhancements too, right?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, and also in Breath of the Wild, you use more than just your sword. You use a whole bunch of different weapons.
Right.
So, you know, yeah, maybe it doesn't like we don't have to. We shouldn't. We're assuming that what's happening to his hand gets rid of his ability to use weapons with it. Why? Maybe it doesn't have to be. Or maybe another angle, right, is that what they do is instead it forces Link to start relearning how to fight with his left hand. And that's one way to sort of like reset Link. Like Gameplay recently put out a video how they could reset Link in Breath of the Wild 2 because he's got so strong in Breath of the Wild 1, right? Like why should you start Breath of the Wild 2 and just have 3 hearts again, right? So, you know,
I don't know.
like maybe
I mean that
one way to justify it would be that he has to relearn how to use his sword and weapons with his left hand.
I feel like they might just not justify it like
they
did in
Majora's Mask.
Yeah, Majora's Mask, and
they did justify it a little bit.
They
justified it a little bit because he lost a lot of his stuff in the fall. He falls to another reality, and you still see he has skills because like when he does the jumps he's like obviously more his platform ability is far advanced.
He only has 3 hearts. What happened to your hearts?
He only has, that is true. The heart thing they might just
in Phantom Hourglass as well. He just kind of is just like, well, I fell off a boat and now I have 3 hearts and
that's true.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's true. They might just straight up that's how they've done it in the past. That makes sense. But he does have the Master Sword this time around. So I wonder how they'll balance that out between being able to use other weapons. Maybe he won't use other weapons this time.
Oh, I doubt that. I feel like that was a big part of Breath of the Wild.
But how do you think they'll handle the weapon breaking system? You think they'll make them more durable this time?
If I was Nintendo, I would make shops because in Breath of the Wild, I feel like the money wasn't really that useful, and shops were like you barely reuse shops.
First of all, I had to buy arrows all the time.
That's true, but I feel like after a certain amount of time, like you never really have to pay for anything other than arrows, and then like when you buy armor for the first time, I think they should actually make. That's a problem with a lot of Zelda games. You barely reuse the shops, and you have like overflowing amounts of rupees and nothing to spend them on. I think that they should have a like blacksmith where you can go in and take weapons that you find and upgrade them, like upgrade their durability or add elemental ability or
repair
like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, or repair them. And I think that would be a good way to not only introduce like new characters and new mechanics, but also like actually have something to spend money on.
So maybe
and it fixes the durability problem, so you don't go out and buy, find a really cool weapon and just be like, oh, well, it's gonna break. You can go and you can repair it if it starts to break, or you can. Or
maybe when they break, there's at least shards that you can use to either repair a new one or use it to build towards a better one. Something like that. I think there's something they could do with that, like kind of double down the crafting, right? Because there wasn't really too much crafting; it was just cooking. Add crafting too, and maybe you could do it through a blacksmith.
They should add crafting. That is something that Horizon Zero Dawn that was really cool. Is you could craft bows, or you could craft arrows and stuff. That was really nice.
Imagine being able to craft arrows. That would be neat, man. And what if like you could start experimenting with that? Like, what if you could craft more than just your standard elemental arrows? Like, what if you could craft like poison arrows, or like. Like what if, for example, there are some creatures that have allergic reactions to frogs, and you just have frogs. Like, what if Hinox? What if like a weird quirk they add to the game is that like the giant Hinox, right? It's afraid of frogs. So you start getting frogs and shoving them on arrows and just shooting them, and then the giant Hinox starts freaking out when you shoot a frog at its feet, right? And maybe that could lead to it falling down into a river or something. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
Just strapping a fucking frog to an arrow.
Yeah.
Just the idea of that is hilarious to me.
I feel like it's something the Zelda team could come up with, though. Something like that. Maybe not exactly that, but they have great ideas whenever there's a new Zelda game.
And I think another problem with Breath of the Wild's like weapon system was that a lot of times it was too easy to find like a bunch of really good weapons. So I feel like if they, instead of having just chests with like really good weapons, they could have chests with like weapon shards or something. So you're still getting something useful, but you're like not just straight up getting like a million the same really good weapon.
Yeah. I was thinking that with the difficulty, because like the cool thing about Breath of the Wild is that when you first start the game and you get out off the Great Plateau, it's a tough, scary world.
It's so hard.
But after a certain point, you just become this powerful monster. And
this absolute god.
Right. Like,
nothing can touch you.
I do like getting to that moment of feeling like this beast, but what I would think would be really cool if they could have moments where they flip it on you, where yeah, you're really strong, but there's still some things out there that completely destroy you. You know?
Something that even if you have all 30 hearts and you got really good weapons, it still takes a lot of skill.
And that, I guess that would be the Lionel. But even then, after a certain point, for some people, you can get beyond the Lionel, right? Like, I don't want to lose that sense of, oh my god, there's these things out there that will destroy me, right? And I have to really find ways.
Like when the Guardians would come by and you just like fucking run for your life, and because there was no way you would live.
Yeah, that was so cool at first, because it was almost like they were indestructible in the beginning. Yeah. So, like, I want that, and I want them to find a way to make that feeling last. Or have it last, and then you get to a point where, like, oh, I'm a powerful god, and then something happens, and there's something else, the map changes a little bit, and then you no longer feel like that. Like, I want a little bit more of a balance leading up to the end of the game, which I understand is probably a very tall order, because this could be a 200-hour game, right? I have, like, 350 hours in Breath of the Wild, so, you know, I get it.
I think there should be a way to dynamically scale the difficulty depending on how far you are. Also, just have difficulty settings, please.
Right, and actually, that's an interesting thing, Brandon. What if, like, because Ganondorf is back, right, his influence should be stronger. So all of his calamity is possessing these creatures, because now it's not just leaking anymore, right? Because all the enemies in Breath of the Wild, or most of them, their power or their existence sort of comes from the calamity essence, right? What if now that he's fully awake, everything is stronger because of it, and throughout the game he's building up more strength? So as you build up throughout the game, the enemies get stronger because he's getting stronger. So that way,
I would also like it if because in Breath of the Wild, like, you'd finish some of the divine beasts and then they would have like new colored enemies. It was okay, like, add that as well, but like add new enemies, please, or just like make the enemies actually like
more enemy variety.
Better.
Right there with you. Yeah, for sure.
Because they just had more health. Sometimes they'd have better weapons, sometimes they wouldn't.
Yeah, you know what I miss from Ocarina of Time? Like, you would lock onto an enemy, then you would get a description of it. Like, there'd be a name, like, name's like, oh, so this is what it's called, and this is a description about it, and this is how it'd be. Like, it's almost like a Pokédex entry, right, for each of the enemies. I want that to return, right? Like, maybe, like, if Zelda's a companion character, right, you're, like, fighting, you find a Lizalfos. It's like, oh, that's a Lizalfos armored, right? These red Lizalfos, they tend to have more an affinity for fire, and they love eating bugs and stuff, but they're also really quick, so make sure to keep your distance. Something like that, right? And then maybe she could narrate it to you as you're fighting. Wouldn't that be amazing? Because she's more of the learned one. She's a smart one who studies and researches. So she's your coach, right? And your strategist, and you're the you're the warrior, right? But she's your brain.
Mhm.
So she's kind of like, oh, we got to be careful, you know, like, I like that. But then maybe there could also be a dynamic of protecting her, and maybe she could use spells for you and things like that. Like, I think there's something there. Oh, that'd be really cool. Oh, I want this. Nintendo, are you listening?
That
Add it in now if you haven't already. Do
Zelda
it.
definitely
You
has
got time.
that personality where she'd be super interested in like knowing everything about every enemy and then like telling it to you. Like she's definitely like that nerdy, like she knows everything. Like she's like super into like that scene where she like gets the frog and she's just like knows like all the different like details about it. It's like trying to like teach Link about it and stuff. Like that's definitely what she would totally be like, oh my, that's that enemy, and then like read off a description and be like super excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a disclaimer, guys. I'm okay with pinging. That's fine. We're good. Yeah, just, you know, as long as there's a balance to it and it contributes to conversation, I'm okay with pinging. In fact, it makes it easier for me to see what's going on. On that note, Terry added me, I have a feeling that Zelda will be needing constant protection and scoring throughout the entire game. So that's the thing.
Oh God, no.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, if she is, I don't want to protect her. Like, I want to protect her, but if it becomes annoying, that'll be annoying. Like, it can't become frustrating. There have been games where there's been escort missions or things of that nature, and in the small spurts that you do that, it can be frustrating, it can be challenging. Imagine doing a whole game like that. That might not be that fun. So they gotta think of a way to incorporate her where she can either defend herself, or at least if she can get threatened, it's not that much of an element to the point where it gets annoying, right? Another game that was like that throughout the entire game, or most of the game, was Resident Evil 4 with Leon and Ashley. Oftentimes, Ashley could be like taken by a zombie, and you have to like recover her. And if you shoot her accidentally, she dies. So you don't want to do that. So if if Ashley's getting carried away by a zombie, you have to shoot the zombie down, right, without shooting her, or make sure nothing hurts her. Like that was cool. But at the same time, it wasn't throughout the entire game, like, because Ashley would go missing here and there throughout the story. I think there's got to be a way to handle it where it's fun, assuming she's going along with you for your adventure, right? So maybe she's just better defends herself. Maybe she's not really that pathetic.
Yeah, it might just be that enemies don't even like really target her; they just go after you.
It also could be
Like
kind of cool, like if you know how like, when you run away with Link, like what if like Zelda runs away with you? Like if you run into a guardian and you're like, oh shit, I'm getting out of here, and then you run and Zelda's like right behind you, you're both like flailing away from guard. Like it'd be just funny, like to see both of them running away from stuff. Man, that'd be interesting. I don't know if they'll do that. I want that, but I don't know if they'll do that. What do you think? Like how confident do you feel that Zelda and Link are going to be traveling together in this game? Like for gameplay the entire time, or most of it.
70-30.
The 70 yes, 30 no?
Yes.
Interesting. Now, I kind of want it. I just wonder if having her there the entire time will impact the experience, right? Or if it could benefit it. It's entirely dependent on how Nintendo envisions that they could put her there in a situation where it makes the game better. And there's obviously ways, it just kind of depends how it's executed. And I have full faith that whatever the Zelda team decides to do, it'll be fun. It just comes down to what will they figure out will make the most fun. Will having them, Zelda as a companion character, be the most fun, right? Would having them as just alternative characters for each other be the right way to go about it? Or maybe Zelda just won't be that big of a deal in this game. Hard to say. Comes down to what the Zelda team figures out.
Yeah.
Alexander Adamy, what if Zelda ends up having abilities like she had on Cadence of Hyrule, which some of them originate from Smash and other items? I know that Zelda is based on a link between worlds, but still. I didn't play Cadence of Hyrule. It's another thing that I should play. But
it was really good.
Yeah. Her having ability, I don't know what ability she had in Cadence of Hyrule, but like I definitely see her as a character if she's involved in the way we're talking about her abilities building up. Like we said, at the end of Breath of the Wild 1, she lost her powers. It'd be cool if, like, throughout Breath of the Wild 2, it's building it back up again. She gains different abilities, and she can help out Link in different ways. And obviously fend for herself, or at least keep her distance so she's not an annoyance while you're in battle.
Mm-hmm. I could definitely see her just, like, kind of keeping her distance. Maybe she has some attack spells she could learn, and then you could, like, command her to use it. Probably, like, you hold down a button, and it has, like, a list of things, and you can, like, target an enemy and tell her to do it. It's kind of how I envision it.
Maybe, like, maybe what they could do is that there'll be some, you know how, like, sometimes, like, you in Breath of the Wild, like, you'll run to some characters, like the what are the not the Sheikah, the their evil counterparts, the what are the name of them? I forgot the name of the evil Sheikah. I don't remember their name. Why? It's been so long. Evil Sheikah. Oh, come on, I'm gonna roll my eyes. The Yiga clan.
Yiga.
Yeah, like, you know how sometimes you run to the Yiga.
I knew it started with a Y, but for some reason yokai was the one thing that was coming to mind. I was like, no, but it's close.
But the point I was getting is that sometimes you run to Yiga, right? And you just at first they'll be disguised as a normal NPC, but they're actually Yiga. Like, what if, like, there are some interactions along those lines where a Yiga steals Zelda? Like, very occasionally it happens. Like, maybe after a couple hours of gameplay, or every 3 or 4 hours, it happens, like, once, right? Where she gets kidnapped and you have to go save her real quick, and either sometimes she saves herself on her own, or you save her and there's some sort of reward for it.
To me, that doesn't seem likely, because a lot of Breath of the Wild is just kind of like being able to do whatever you want when you want. And I feel like if you just like, oh, well, the Yiga, like, you're forced to do that. Like, because usually if the Yiga come, yeah, you could fight them, but you could also just run away. And if they steal her, then all of a sudden you have to do that. Like, that's something you have to do. Like, you can't just move on if you want to, which is kind of like a part of, like, Breath of the Wild. Like, no matter what's happening, you could always just leave and do something else if you wanted to. So I feel like that'd be kind of a go against the feeling of the first game, where you could just do whatever you wanted whenever.
And just leave Zelda to be kidnapped.
Maybe you could just leave her to be kidnapped, but I feel like that would be
no, yeah, I see your point. I see your point. Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious how.
That's also why I think that Zelda, if Zelda's playable, like, she will always be playable. Like, it's not gonna be a thing to where it's like segments, because then that also means you have to do certain things at certain times. Like, I don't think there's ever gonna be like a section of the story where now Zelda's playable, but later she gets kidnapped, because then there's like certain, like, you could, like, oh, I need Zelda for a shrine. Oh, this part of the story you don't have her. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, like, if she's playable or with you, she's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
Like, you have access to her.
I get you. Let's check in the chat real quick. No Filter Nintendo Podcast. A weapon breaking system made the game underrated mechanic. The weapon breaking, yeah.
I thought it was really good. I thought there were some better things that they could do with it. Like the Black Blood you had, but it was good.
I liked that how, like, because of the way the weapon's broken, how you could use them and throw them and get crits, like, it created a situation where it kind of more forced you to sort of be reliant upon your environment. Like, think about, like, action movies, right? Like, you're in an action movie, like, imagine like Jackie Chan, right? Like, you're getting attacked but different ways, and you sort of resort to using your environment, and you're constantly improvising, figuring out what you got to do. It's kind of like that. Right. We're like, oh man, there's a stick, chuck it, keep running, right? Like, or like, you know, and then you get a table, you do that. So like in Breath of the Wild, it's like, oh, there's this boulder, let's grab the boulder and throw at this person. Oh man, here's my staff. Oh, it breaks. Oh, let's switch to my sword. Oh, smack it at the enemy. Like, kind of like that. So I get how what you mean about how the weapons breaking actually can sort of contribute to the combat, and sort of how exhilarating it can be when sort of all flowing together. It can be really fun. I do think they need to expand upon the combat system a little bit more, but I do think they were headed in the right direction with it, for sure.
I don't understand people who, like, hate the.
Well, the thing is that I also understand, like, when you get a cool weapon, you don't want it to break. You do want to keep
well,
it forever.
The point.
And you don't want to be worried about it and get anxious about it. But maybe you can just get to a point where you can get some weapons that don't break as easily, right? Or at least can like repurpose them.
Another thing about Breath of the Wild, I never understood why there isn't a weapon store. Like you can buy arrows, but you can't buy straight up like weapons. Like why was that not a thing?
Yeah.
I was very confused.
Well, maybe some women are special. Just can't find them in any old store. Maybe there should just more like bartering places, right? Like you can just barter for stuff. And it's like basically the barters, like some locations will have certain things and you may not have them there. So you can find them in the overworld, but you can also barter for them as well. And you can just trade with different items or rupees. Let me see here. Well, Byron, he's saying, hey guys, thanks for the streams as always. Have you guys realized that today is 2 years from the Nintendo Direct that announced Smash Ultimate? Time really flies. That is true. March 2018, we got the Smash reveal. Maybe for this one we'll get some sort of crazy reveal as well for this March Direct in 2020, if it happens.
Yeah.
Darcy, Andres, how many goats do I have to sacrifice for the Direct?
All the goats.
Don't sacrifice any goats. I can't in good conscience recommend that ever. But
you can go do goat yoga. That's a thing.
Is it?
Do you know about goat yoga? It is. I saw somebody do it. You do yoga and goats climb on you.
Oh, like baby goats? Or just like goats in general, like just stand.
They're not big goats, but they're like miniature goats.
Oh, the mini goats. Okay, that sounds kind of fun and cute.
Go do that. Maybe the Direct will happen. But
maybe.
Yeah, don't sacrifice the goats.
No.
Just have fun with the goats. Just love the goats.
Yeah. Well, I think we've pretty much have reached the natural conclusion for this week's podcast. We can always talk Zelda for sure. Maybe we'll get some more Zelda information in the next Direct. Maybe we'll get some information about something else next Direct. Maybe the Direct will be next week. Maybe. We don't know. I hope the whole coronavirus situation, gets better, right? Guys, stay safe, stay learned, be safe, but, don't freak out. Live your life to the fullest or what have you.
Don't buy all the soap and toilet paper in your local Walmart. Please, God.
Maybe no.
Some for us.
Yeah.
Just a normal amount for what you need.
Be prepared. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Leaving a like would be greatly appreciated. Subscribing would be greatly appreciated as well if you're new to the podcast. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other Nintendo content that comes to the channel as well. So stay tuned. Check out Brandon's channel, What About Nintendo. Follow us on Twitter. Join our Discords. We talk about stuff throughout the week there. It's easier to reach me on Twitter than Discord, I'll admit that, but,
It's probably easier to reach me on Discord.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So when I can't reach you, I'll be like, Brandon! Yeah. But, alright, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.